For decades, the consulting industry operated on a deceptively simple premise: time equals money. A client needed a software solution built, and the cost of that solution was largely a function of how many hours it would take skilled professionals to bring it to life. Architects, developers, designers, and project managers all fed into a single, ticking meter. The more complex the project, the longer the meter ran, and the higher the invoice. That model is now under serious pressure. And the culprit is generative artificial intelligence. AI tools have dramatically compressed the time required to complete many core computing tasks. Writing code, designing interfaces, generating graphical assets, drafting technical documentation, all of these once represented substantial line items in a project estimate. Today, many can be accomplished in a fraction of the time. The result is a profound and still unfolding disruption to the way consultants work, price their services, and demonstrate their worth. A brief history of the time-cost equation. To understand the scale of the disruption, it helps to revisit how software project scoping traditionally worked. When a consultant sat down with a client to plan a new application or digital platform, the early conversations revolved around a series of interconnected technical choices. What programming language would best suit the project's requirements? Which backend framework, Node.js, Django, Ruby on Rails, would provide the right combination of performance, scalability, and developer familiarity? What would the front end look like, and how would it be built? Would the project require custom iconography, animations, or branded graphical assets? Each of these decisions had downstream cost implications because each translated directly into hours of human labor. A backend built on an unfamiliar technology stack might require longer development cycles. A bespoke front-end design meant more time for UI engineers and graphic designers. A robust API integration could add weeks of testing and debugging. The project estimate was, in essence, a sophisticated time and materials calculation dressed up in technical language. Clients understood this, even if they didn't always like it. The logic was transparent: skilled labor is expensive, good work takes time, and complexity compounds cost. What generative AI changed, and how quickly? The arrival of capable generative AI tools, large language models trained on vast code repositories, design systems, and technical documentation, did not arrive with a single dramatic announcement. It crept in. Developers started using AI coding assistants to auto-complete functions. Designers found they could generate initial interface mock-ups in minutes rather than days. Technical writers discovered that first drafts of documentation practically wrote themselves. Then the acceleration became impossible to ignore. Tasks that once required a junior developer several days to complete, scaffolding a basic application, writing boilerplate code, and configuring database schemas, could now be accomplished in hours with AI assistance. More sophisticated tasks, like integrating third-party APIs or generating responsive front-end components, also saw their time requirements shrink substantially. What consultants had long treated as billable hours began evaporating from estimates. The impact was not merely incremental. In many cases, AI has reduced project timelines by anywhere from 30 to 70% for certain categories of technical work. A project that might once have been scoped at 6 weeks could realistically be delivered in 3. And that compression has forced a reckoning the industry cannot avoid. The uncomfortable question: if it takes less time, should it cost less? This is the question keeping many consulting principals up at night, and it does not have a comfortable answer. The traditional time and materials billing model assumes a rough equivalence between effort and value. 100 hours of a senior developer's time is worth more than 100 hours of a junior developer's time, but the underlying logic is the same: you are paying for human effort applied to your problem. When AI tools allow a consultant to deliver the same outcome in significantly less time, that logic starts to break down. Clients are already beginning to ask the question directly. If a task that used to take 2 weeks now takes 3 days, why should they pay for anything close to what they paid before? From a purely transactional standpoint, their argument has merit. They are getting the same deliverable, produced more quickly, and they would like that efficiency to be reflected in the price. Consultants, understandably, push back. The value they deliver, they argue, is not really the hours logged, it has never been. It is the expertise, judgment, and accountability they bring to a complex problem. An AI tool does not know which architecture will best support a client's 5-year growth strategy. It does not understand the organizational politics that will determine whether a new system gets adopted or quietly abandoned. It cannot manage a difficult stakeholder relationship or recognize when a project is heading toward failure. Both arguments have real validity. The tension between them is defining a new era of pricing negotiations. The shift toward value-based pricing. For consultants willing to adapt, the disruption presents an opportunity as much as a threat. The compression of time-based tasks has actually created space to make a long-overdue argument. That consulting fees should be anchored to the value delivered, not the hours invested. Value-based pricing is not a new concept in professional services, but it has always been difficult to operationalize in technology consulting because outcomes are hard to quantify in advance. How much is a well-designed customer portal worth? What is the dollar value of a data infrastructure that reduces reporting time by 60%? These questions resist easy answers. AI, paradoxically, may make those answers easier to arrive at. When the mechanical aspects of development are faster and cheaper, the strategic and advisory components become proportionally more significant. A consultant who can help a client define the right problem to solve, select the right technology approach, and avoid the pitfalls that typically sink similar projects is delivering enormous value, regardless of whether the actual code takes 3 days or 3 weeks to write. The consultants who will thrive are those who can clearly articulate and price that strategic layer, and who stop presenting themselves primarily as providers of development hours. New competencies for a new landscape. The shift in the economics of consulting is also driving a shift in the skills that matter most. Prompt engineering, the ability to effectively direct AI tools to produce high-quality outputs, has emerged as a genuine professional competency. A consultant who can consistently extract useful, well-structured code or design assets from AI systems is more productive than one who cannot, and that productivity gap will widen as the tools become more sophisticated. But prompt engineering is, in some ways, the most surface-level adaptation. Bigger changes are underway in what it means to be a senior technical consultant. Expertise in AI model selection and deployment. Understanding which tools are suited to which tasks, and where AI assistance creates risk rather than value, is rapidly becoming a core skill. So is the ability to perform quality assurance on AI-generated outputs, which have characteristic failure modes that differ substantially from human-generated work. Perhaps most importantly, the premium on strategic and creative thinking has increased. When execution becomes cheaper and faster, the relative value of knowing what to execute, and why, goes up. Consultants who spent their careers focused primarily on delivery are finding that they need to develop stronger advisory muscles. Those who have always led with insight and strategy are, for once, watching the market come to them. The client side of the equation. Clients are navigating their own version of this disruption, and they are not always well equipped for it. Many organizations now have access to the same AI tools their consultants use. Junior staff can generate serviceable first drafts of code, reports, and analyses with minimal training. This has prompted a predictable question in boardrooms and procurement departments: do we still need external consultants at all, or can we bring more of this work in-house? The honest answer is nuanced. AI tools democratize execution but do not automatically confer expertise. An in-house team equipped with AI assistants can produce more output than before, but they may not know whether that output is strategically sound, technically robust, or aligned with industry best practices. The gap between producing something and producing the right something remains significant, and it is precisely the gap that experienced consultants are best positioned to fill. What has changed is that clients are better informed buyers. They have a clearer sense of what is technically possible, how long certain tasks should reasonably take, and when a consulting estimate looks inflated. That informed skepticism is healthy for the industry in the long run, even if it makes individual negotiations more challenging in the short term. Towards a new consulting contract. The relationship between consultant and client is, at its core, a contract of trust. The client trusts that the consultant will bring expertise and integrity to bear on their problem. The consultant trusts that the client will engage in good faith and respect the value of professional judgment. AI has not changed that fundamental dynamic, but it has changed the context in which it plays out. The new consulting contract needs to be explicit about a few things that were previously left implicit. It needs to acknowledge that AI tools are part of the consultant's workflow, and to address honestly how that affects both pricing and accountability. It needs to shift the emphasis of the engagement from time spent to outcomes achieved. And it needs to invest in the relationship and advisory dimensions of the work, because those are what AI cannot replicate. Consultants who resist this transition, who continue to price purely on time without acknowledging the efficiency gains AI provides, will face increasing pressure from clients who know the landscape has changed. Those who embrace it, reframe their value proposition, and invest in the skills that AI cannot commoditize are likely to find that this disruption ultimately strengthens their position. The billable hour is not dead, but it is no longer the whole story. The consultants who understand that will write the next chapter of this industry. Those that do not are already, whether they know it yet or not, living on borrowed time. This essay has been produced by Terome Technology. Until next time, bye.